Now, a pool in Spain can seem like a bit of a luxury, but at certain times of the year, especially in the height of the summer, it's an absolute necessity in order to cool down or even get some sort of exercise without overheating. Now, we've covered swimming pools before on 2 Minute Tuesday. However, we've never covered the choice between a saltwater pool and a chlorine pool. So guess what this week's episode of 2 Minute Tuesday with Hundon Valley Homes is all about. So welcome to episode number 139 of 2 Minute Tuesday with Hundon Valley Homes, where we talk everything about saltwater pools. Now, I think when we were all younger, we went off to the local swimming pool for swimming lessons or just fun with friends and family. However, after an hour or so, you get out of the pool not necessarily because you were tired or not enjoying yourself, but perhaps it was because your eyes were stinging or they were sore. And what you have there is a chlorinated pool. Now, admittedly, community pools tend to have more chlorine in them than maybe your own pool would, as they've got more to cope with. Now, if you left the swimming pool without any chemicals in it, it wouldn't take long for it to go from a crystal clear pool to a murky green pool, as the algae and creepy crawly sort of take over within a week or two, especially in the summer, and you would end up with more of a pond than maybe a swimming pool. Now, to stop this happening, you need to add something to maintain the correct levels in the pool. Now, with the chlorine pool, you'll keep testing the chlorine and the pH levels to ensure that they're within the sort of acceptable parameters. Now, when the chlorine levels get too low, you either throw in a couple of chlorine tablets, which are like hockey puck-sized white discs, into the pool or into the skimmers, or you can fill a floating dispenser with granules, and that will get the chlorine levels back up. Now, the issue with this is that before you added the chlorine, the level was obviously too low. And now that you've chucked in a load of chlorine, it'll be too high. And it'll only be the exact level for a short period of time. And this really is where saltwater pools come in. Now, remember that a saltwater pool is not a chlorine-free pool. The main difference is how you get the chlorine and how you get it into the pool. Now, in the traditional form, the chlorine, as I mentioned, is delivered to your pool through granular chlorine or tablets or an erosion feeder. With a saltwater pool, the saltwater is moved through a chlorine generator, and that converts the salt into chlorine itself. So for most people, there is a huge advantage of having a saltwater pool, as the salt itself minimises the use of chemicals required to keep the pool in great condition. Now, the saltwater pool has less chlorine in it. In fact, the chlorine level should always be perfect in a saltwater pool, and consequently it's going to be better for people with skin issues. You're going to have no more stinging eyes, no more dyed hair going green, as the chlorine level is always going to be optimal. Now, there are also environmental benefits with the saltwater pool, and that it's a greener option because it's kinder to the environment due to far less use of chemicals, although it does need to be balanced with the fact that you need to keep the pool pump running a little bit longer for the salt generator, or the chlorine generator. Now, saltwater pools do use more electricity than a chlorine pool due to the use of a special salt chlorine generator to convert the salt in the water into chlorine. However, both salt and chlorine pools still require a pool pump which circulates the water in your pool through a sand or a glass bead filter to prevent things like dirt and bacteria and algae from becoming problems in your pool. Now, you can certainly convert your standard chlorine pool into a saltwater pool, and of course vice versa, to enjoy the benefits of salt electrolysis in your own pool. Now, there are plenty of local companies here in the area that will do this for you, and they will adapt the pump and the filter system accordingly and add the required machinery to make sure that you have a fully functioning saltwater pool. So what are the benefits of saltwater pools? Well, saltwater is better for your skin. It's certainly better for your hair, especially people who've got dyed hair. You're not going to have sore eyes the same as you do with maybe with a chlorine pool. It's going to cause less irritation as well on skin and things like that. It's better for toys that are in the pool, swimwear, things like this. You're also going to get rid of the penetrating chlorine smell that you associate with chlorine pools. There's also going to be less maintenance required. The weekly maintenance is going to be way simpler as the things like the computers take control of all of the levels, and all you need to do is simply add salt, and the chlorinator will do the rest. Which then leads nicely onto the fact, what are the disadvantages or the cons of a saltwater pool? Now, the system is totally computerized, and obviously when computers go wrong, the likes of you and I will probably have problems fixing them, so you're going to need a specialist. You also need to buy large bags of salt, and they're often heavy to move, and you're going to probably need a bigger pump house to store the extra computers and sensors and things like that. And also, as I mentioned before, a saltwater pool, the pool pump needs to run a little bit longer to obviously generate the chlorine, so your electricity bill will be a tiny bit higher just to accommodate that. The simple answer to that is yes, you can heat a saltwater pool exactly the same as you would heat a freshwater pool. Again, the answer is yes, all pools can get algae. However, as the sensors and the computers are constantly monitoring the levels in the swimming pool, there is less chance with a saltwater pool, but it's not impossible. But because it's being monitored all the time when the pumps are running, it means that you don't need to keep an eye on the pool as much as maybe you would with a chlorine pool. Now, in general, skin problems are twice as common with people who have chlorinated water than in people who have saltwater pools. And in some cases, saltwater can cause dry and itchy skin, but chlorine can cause irritated skin and sometimes even more annoying rashes. So with the saltwater pool, you normally shower after you've had a swim, and then you have no problems at all. With a chlorinated pool, you can shower before and after. Now, I only add salt to my pool here in the spring each year, and all we're doing is we're replacing the salt that's been lost through backwashing the filter, splashing in the pool, diving in, and maybe the odd cannonball. If you were to completely empty the pool for maintenance, retiling or things like that, then obviously you would need to replenish all of the salt when you refill the pool. And that's it. So that's that. Those are the facts, and basically, in all honesty, whichever type of pool you have chosen to have installed or want to have installed, you're still going to enjoy it. And a lot of the decision making will be down to your own personal preference. So that's the end of this week's episode of 2 Minute Tuesday. Hopefully you've enjoyed something a little different this week. My details should be on the screen at the moment, so if you've got any questions or queries, please feel free to drop me a line. We'll be back in a week or so with a new episode. So until then, have a great day, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Adios.